So maybe I just want to make sure that I'm pronouncing everybody's names right. So Ashvin, Gautam, Vishwajeet, and Prabhakar.
Yeah.
Is it?
You can call me Preps or PT. You know, I mean, if it is easier for you.
My name is
Hey, Prabhakar, just a quick thing, Ashwin here. We met at the Adobe event as well, right? I think.
Yeah.
Okay, face.
Okay, I think we now move to live streaming mode.
Okay.
So I'm assuming E4M will kind of.
Yes, so we are going live in just a few seconds. So yeah, maybe in another 10 seconds we can start.
So Amisha, does someone introduce this segment or I just start off?
You can start off with the topic and panel introductions.
Okay.
And Amisha, how many people do you know? Can you give us quickly? How many people are there?
So our Facebook Live is starting. So people have started joining in. We already have some 30 people on Zoom, and the live views for Facebook have started.
Okay.
So we can start. I'm going to get off the window.
Yeah, thanks, Amisha. So hello, ladies and gentlemen, today. Glad to have you guys on this lovely panel. So for the attendees today, we are discussing how Martech will be changing in the new normal. So before we get into that topic, I just thought it'll be good for all of us to introduce ourselves. So I'm Gautam, and I am the Chief Data Officer and CEO for Programmatic at Dentsu Aegis Network. So what I love doing is building products, and data-driven marketing is really what excites me. So which is why I'm very, very happy to be here. I think I'll just call out your name possibly, and then you could introduce yourself. So Kerry, why don't you go first?
Thank you. Thanks for the having me here. My name is Kerry. I am actually with Acoustic, a Martech company that has been acquired by a private equity from IBM. So we were acquired last year, and we are now a fully functioning company. So I'm based out of Singapore, and I head marketing for Asia Pacific and Japan.
Right. Thanks, Kerry. Vishwajeet, do you want to go next? Vishwajeet, could you go next?
Yeah, my internet is likely to be coming.
Oh, okay. We'll get back to you. So, Ashvin, why don't you go?
Sure. Thanks, Gautam. Hello, everyone. Very happy to be here. My name is Ashvin. I'm a partner with Deloitte in India, with the primary focus of leading the advertising, marketing, and commerce clients here and overseas.
Ashwin, we lost you out for a bit. Your voice is going a bit off.
Going up and down. Is this better?
Yeah. This is much better.
Yeah. So I said, name is Ashvin Vellody. I lead up the advertising, marketing, and commerce function and capability for Deloitte in India, and help. My whole range is to work with clients in the space of AMC, advertising, marketing, commerce, digital marketing, transformation, and happy to be here. Look forward to the conversation. And let's see what learnings we hear from the audience as well as amongst us.
Great. Thanks, Ashwin. Thanks a lot. Prabhakar, would you want to go next?
Okay. Hi, everyone. Prabhakar Tiwari here. I'm CMO with AngelBroking. And as a part of my responsibility, I take care of performance marketing, brand marketing, and PR functions for AngelBroking. We are a 3 decades old startup in a way. That's the mindset with which we operate. And I'm happy to be here today to kind of discuss with you and learn with you about the new Martech and what's really happening during COVID-19 now.
Yeah. Thanks, Prabhakar. Ashwin, could we get back to you now, or do you think you have? Vishwajeet, do you have internet now, or?
Gautam, I hope I'm audible because there's slight bad internet. That's a new normal nowadays, right?
Right. Yeah. No, we could hear you. If you could just keep it a bit more closer, I think it'll be even better. But yeah, we can hear you.
Sure. I'll try to be as louder as possible. Guys, I am Vishwajeet Parashar. I am Chief Marketing Officer, Bajaj Capital. Bajaj Capital is a financial services organization with more than 3.5 million clients, 5-decade-old organization. We're basically a retail player advising people on where, when, and how to invest and help them achieve their financial goals. And as of now, we started with a brick and mortar model when we started. moved to tech plus tech, tech plus touch, and now I think today we can say that we are 100% digital organization.
Great, great, fantastic, Vishwajeet. So I think we have a good, very lovely mix here for the audience today. So we've got Kerry, who's from this tech startup that's kind of acquired by IBM already, and it's a marketing cloud, right, Kerry? That you guys have, and Prabhakar from AngelBroking on the other side. One of the early adopters of the online securities space and evolved in that perspective. Ashvin from Deloitte Digital. I think it's again fantastic fusion from the consultancy legacy to the digital practice, and then Vishwa from Bajaj Capital, again legacy finance, but then how they've transformed into a digital company. So I think this is a great, absolutely great panel. So before we get into the heavy stuff of Martech, I thought like maybe I just be a bit more humanizing the conversation here and figure out that what are you guys up to in terms of, I mean, it's a lockdown. I'm sure everyone has their own way of dealing with it. But are you currently binge watching anything, or are you currently reading some books that you think that is really inspiring you, or what you want to share with the audience? You could go in any order, but I think just because we are not face to face, I'll kind of still prompt. Why don't you say that first, Prabhakar?
Okay, so see, I'm very lucky because we were blessed with a baby girl in the month of Jan. And so my girl is, thanks a lot, turned 4 months yesterday. So this lockdown came as a blessing for me. So I have plenty of time to be with her. And I'm so busy with her that I don't have time for binge watching. So other than work and helping my wife, that she takes most of my time.
Yeah, wow, that's fantastic. It's lovely to hear that, Prabhakar. Kerry, what about you?
For me, congratulations on your new baby.
Thank you.
For me, I've actually been catching up on reading. So I've got a goal of finishing X amount of books by 2020. So I've got more time now to read. Going through my list. So yeah, that's been what's keeping me up.
Any topic for the audience? Anything that you suggest?
Actually, the one that has been quite interesting is actually a couple of books. One is Educated by Tara Weston, and another one is called Pachinko, which is by a Korean author. So it's very interesting. So yeah, if anyone has.
Great, thanks. Yeah, and Vishwa, do you want to go next?
Yeah, so Gautam, honestly, I come from a place called Delhi, which is normally known for pollution. So these days I'm spending more time on yoga, and because the air is so fresh, you can hear the chirping of the birds after a very long gap in Delhi at least. Reading has also changed. The habit has also changed there also. I normally love reading physical books, but the Blinkist app, which has recently I've joined, and 12 minutes audio and you can read a book. So I'm really enjoying that phase, because initially you always want to learn so much, you always want to read so much, but now I think digital has made it possible. So from digital transformation books to spiritualism, Jaggi Vasudev's, Jim Collins.
Brilliant.
Every day,
so Vishwa is actually epitomizing Bajaj Capital themselves, right? I mean, from the legacy of yoga to Blinkist app and 100% digital transformation. I think that's a lovely, lovely way, Vishwa, to talk about the lockdown. Ashwin, why don't you go next?
No, thanks. I think great to hear. Hey, congrats for the newborn.
Thank you, Ashwin.
No, I think for me, it's been two fronts. On the work front, it's been actually surprisingly quite busy. So we've not missed a beat in 24 hours. The of the company, Deloitte, that is, we turned digital. Everyone was working remote, client support. It was just, I could not believe that it was that robust, and it has all worked out very well, knock on wood. And on the personal front, a lot of, as Vishwajeet mentioned, a lot of, I would say I have enjoyed some binge watching, especially. So I'm almost beginning to get done with some content in one of the streaming platforms, which is quite scary. So let's see. So, but some great, but not all movies, more education, good videos. There's one I'm watching now around engineering connections. It's how this is about how can different large-scale structures be built in the world. Fascinating things to learn and see with the kids. And
Lovely.
yeah, good stuff. But
Great.
yes, binge watching as well. Yes. Yes.
Great. Fantastic. So I think we can, dive into our topic and so just bringing the audience back into this is that we're discussing today about Martech and how it's going to play a role in the changing new normal, post lockdown in this COVID-19 scenario, and even in the years to come from there. So just the first question I just want to keep it open to everyone is that, definitely everyone's, every organization is rethinking how they're operating, and there are lots of changes happening internally as well as on the external side to the client facing, whoever your client may be, whether it's B2B or B2C. How do you think in all of these conversations is Martech coming up, and how do you see that to kind of like what kind of place will it hold in the conversations that you'll have with clients or with partners or with vendors, in the coming months? So depending on which position you are from, how would you think that this would be actually changing in the immediate next, I would say 3 months, if we can limit it first to the next 3 months, and then we can talk about a little longer thing. So it's again, it's open, but I'll just kind of prompt around because since everyone's onto it, I think Kerry, do you want to start off with that from a technology point of view, how you think this is going to change?
Sure. I mean, I think it's it's an understatement to say that, the acceleration to digital has not been, more acute, right, in the last few months where everything, has been moving, right? And I mean, I think in terms of the changes that we see in the market, one is that acceleration, but I think also we are seeing that because of the shift, we see that there are more non-digital natives who are obviously now online, and we see a lot more struggle, like that they are facing, as they're doing checkouts and all that kind of stuff, as they're trying to purchase groceries, they're trying to do, it's like a different world altogether, and people have less appetite for that, right? So that's one thing that we actually see. But I think where we have also seen like businesses have already started like investing in moving to a Martech or rebuilding their online platforms and stuff. It's in a way timely because they're actually launching now. So for example, we're actually working with Marks and Spencer, who actually launched their India e-commerce platform last week, and that's something that we've been working with them. But it's like, in a way it's timely, but it's one of those where you really need to already start if you've not already started. So that's kind of what we also see happening in the market.
Right. Very interesting perspective about new users coming on, and we take it for granted that the user would be on the internet and would know how to do simple tasks, but even something like a checkout could be hard for a first-time e-commerce user. That's very valuable. Vishwa, do you want to kind of like add to that at Bajaj Capital? How are you seeing these conversations go about?
Yeah, sure. So I think every organization post-COVID is very clear about costs. So there is a good cost and there is a bad cost. So initially we were, spending more on buying another tower for our employees or more infrastructure. So now that has changed. So initially, now digital is not an option. It is important. And what we really feel is the good cost is when you're spending money on Martechs, where how can you connect with the consumer? How can you give him a seamless experience? And this is something what you used to think we will provide, but now it is the most important thing in today's time. So giving that seamless experience, spending money on the Martech has become the order of the day for us. And within overnight, we have changed from tech plus touch to a digital organization. So the communication, the way we are communicating with our clients, how can we solve their pain areas? It's not just by sending emailers that we take care of our employees, we take care of, we get concerned about your health, but how can we solve their pain areas and what as a brand we can do for them? So that is, I think, what is that we're really thinking about. And I think during this period, as a brand, we thought of not selling a product, but how can we stick to a purpose of helping our consumers? That is the most important thing. And we really wanted to show how concerned are we about their health. So we launched various initiatives, where we are really talking about their health, talking not just as a just a simple email, but we are doing webinars with them. We're trying to help them, how to be motivated in these times, and product will automatically sell later on. So we're not concerned about profitability right now. We are more for the purpose how we are connecting with our consumers. How can we give more personalized experience? So it's not about revenues anymore. If we sustain this period, I think that would be the big breakthrough for us.
Yeah,
Okay.
agree. I mean,
Yeah.
can I just add to that, right? I mean,
Yeah, sure.
being like, so there's actually a study that was done in Australia, right, where based on like what Vishwajeet had actually mentioned, is like consumers are actually demanding that actually brands go beyond just a superficial sort of like do nice, right, or be nice. They actually expect the brand to actually do better than the business as usual. So that's something that we definitely also see in different parts of the market, and staying true to your brand values, I think that's really one of the key things.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I mean, the fact that you mentioned how customer experience actually trumps profitability at this time, and how if you just sustain through this, profit would, I think, maybe automatically come after that. It's a very interesting proposition compared to what we hear some. Yeah.
Gautam, just to add from a financial services perspective, my feeling is that next 6, 7, 8 months, people will learn to live with COVID, and post that, some medicines will come and pharma companies will grow. But during this phase, what my feeling is, companies with less revenue or who are only sticking about profitability will not survive. Sustainability, by helping customers with existing customers, will be the order of the day.
Yeah, makes sense. So, Ashwin, do you want to add to this from your background, from your context, how you're seeing the various clients you speak to talking about Martech right now?
Yeah. I think just want to kind of echo some of the sentiments which then Kerry kind of talked about. But I think from our standpoint in Deloitte, I think a few key themes or trends are emerging, especially Gautam, as you were asking, right, in the next 3-4 months. See, we strongly believe, or I strongly believe, that what will happen is, see, over the years, we have had Martech or marketing function sometimes carry what I call the a history of experience debt. Experience debt, which is occasionally, through all the right and wrong intentions, treating customers impersonally, not able to empathize, be, as Vishwa rightly said, chasing after revenue and daily sales, whatever the pressure might be, and all justified. I'm sure it's all justified. What we believe is that this is the time when brands will have to inflex and make a choice, and that choice, and you will echoed it, we'll give some more words to it from our vocabulary, which is what we call stressing on the human experience, which has got 4 or 5 key things, which is, and you all said it, I mean, really empathizing and connecting with that potential customer, rather than, and there are many experiences. There are many experiences of our clients where they have done that. Kerry, you mentioned some. Vishwa, you were talking about some examples from your company. So there are many examples. We see it day in and day out where brands have changed. They have got in the FMCG business, in the essentials business, in financial services. They have changed. They have kind of, and the savvy CMO is using this opportunity to get rid of what I call the experience debt that organization may have incurred. I'm curious to hear, especially what Prabhakar and Vishwa has to say in that, because you all are in those functions. That's one. Second, what is happening, the 3-4 trends, we see the other trend towards being more authentic, rather than just kind of answer things in black and white. There is a lot of ability of brands to associate, for CMO functions to associate and connect with the consumer's context or the customer's context in a more human manner, and what we call the human experience, and then obviously, as you all said, it will bring the business anyhow. Okay, that is one. The third thing is durability while doing this process. This is the part of the businesses being durable, not just for this transaction, for this event, because we did a study. I mean, there was a study done by a large educational institute which said across all calamities, across all calamities that have happened in the past 50, 60 years, 3 trends emerged. It was quite fascinating. One is, there was a percentage of companies that did not recover out of this, that kind of had their head stuck in the sand and could not recover. there were 11 to 12% that did substantially outbeat their pre-COVID performance. And then the others will struggle to come back to status quo. So what CMOs and the digital marketing function should do is try to be in that first bucket where you really inflex, going from a certain pace, you really go up. Those are the things that we are looking for. We are advising our clients very aggressively. There are concrete plans happening, and lots of, as with all things, we call this framework what we call respond, recover, and thrive. So three things. You respond quickly, that we are past that. You set a recovery in motion. We are in that phase, and then the thrive phase will come when you got to make most of it. And believe me, the CMO function, two of you are here, need to really take the lead on this. Really, and as they say, right, in a good times, CMOs must spend, but in bad times, you have to spend. You have to. Okay, and we wish them all the good luck in doing it. And there is a set of tools around it, but we'll talk, so I'm sure, on that. So that's how I would put it.
Sure. Thanks, Ashwin, for that. I think very valuable advice. Prabhakar, do you want to chime in on this?
Yeah, so very interesting to hear Kerry, and Ashwin and Vishwajit talk about these things. See, somewhere there are a couple of flavors I would like to add. So when before pre-COVID days, we used to talk about disruption, as a most interesting word, right? Everywhere people are talking about disruptive experience, disruptive this, disruptive that. Last 4-5 years, we are hearing it a lot more. Okay. Yeah. Now this is disruption on steroids.
Yeah, I don't think anyone thought that when there's a disruption that they'll face this party. Yeah, very true.
It's
the
on
truest
steroids.
Form of disruption is disruption.
Yeah, it's on steroids, and it's here to kind of take you for good, and it's here to stay. This is what it is. Having said that, this is how I look at it. Honestly, this is how kind of this is my filter, my lens in which I look at what's happening around me. Now, as far as the category my company is concerned, this COVID-19 has been blessing in disguise. I mean, because stock markets were falling, in the sense prices were falling, lot of people took interest in getting into the stock market in terms of opening their demat accounts. Yeah. So in the month of March, which saw the largest fall in the stock prices, saw almost 40% more demat accounts opening. So 40% more people entered the market to kind of deal in stocks. And for the first time, AngelBroking did 1 lakh demat account opening in a single month. That was a record for us. Okay. Wow. Almost 30-40% growth for us. Okay. Yeah. That was amazing. And not just that, normally when people open a demat account, they do not start trading immediately.
Yeah.
They take some time. Okay. Yeah. So they just kind of become interested, open an account, but then now they have to choose about the stock. They have to become onboarded. They need to understand the app, etc., etc. So let me share some stats with you. So in pre-COVID, if the day zero means the same day when you open your account, the people who were kind of starting to trade was X percentage. That increased by 5 times, 5-fold.
Wow.
In the COVID era. So not only people were in a hurry to open a demat account, but they were in a hurry to trade as well. Right. Okay. What happened because of that? So first of all, as soon as the lockdown were announced, there was a lot of confusion, across the organization. And the framework that Ashwin was sharing with us about respond, so we had to respond, right? So we kind of got into kind of getting more laptops organized. We got into getting a letter issued to us. Stock market also becomes like an essential service because both the state and central government didn't want to close stock market, right? We started using Zoom, Google Meet more often. The team started focusing on how to manage day-to-day operations because tech is involved, ops is involved. So all of that happened, and we recovered from that. And to be honest with you, the buoyancy in the category also helped. So we were not at all kind of disappointed or in a disarray because we know that business is happening and business is going at certain pace. So somewhere coming back to it, so as a marketing team, we realized the opportunity to kind of get a lot of organic leads. So we focused on more and more organic conversion. We look at our attribution models. We got into like more data-driven attribution model so that we can keep our spends on the right keel. So that was important for us. We also got into a lot of content marketing and using more empathy, more humor, more optimistic kind of messaging. So we started using that more and more. And the most surprising thing is we also started spending on television during this period. Okay. Because one of our hypothesis was that now people are in lockdown, so they are at home, and because they're interested in stock market, so many of them will be listening to business news.
Right.
So why not we be there? Okay.
Yeah.
So to summarize it, I think somewhere also we had gone into programmatic journey last year with DV360, GCM and all. And
Right.
now we want to move into CDP and GA360. So those meetings started happening more frequently. And most probably this month we will sign up with a partner and we will kind of take our Martech to the next level. So,
Lovely.
so that's from my side, on this topic. Yeah.
Great. Thanks, Prabhakar. I think that's very insightful. And I think, on the flip side of COVID, you guys are in the industry which is actually benefiting a lot. So it's interesting to see that how, you are seeing like a 4x increase or in your account openings, 5x increase in your, I know how hard it is to get the transaction to go. I've worked with a few security clients in my lifetime, and that the cost of active account opening is kind of an
That's true.
it's really tough to do. So since I think you spoke about a few things, I think I want to start with you and then kind of like I have a question directed towards what you spoke and then go back to the others. So the first one, I think, is you mentioned about, this increase in the first day trade, or, the person signing up on day 0 and then kind of pre-COVID and post-COVID. Right. So how do you see now, once you've you've tasted blood, right? So now that you've seen this increase happen and you know how that is, right. And you've seen even low cost of acquisition because of organic. How right. do you see this time to actually build a long-term CLV model for your marketing rather than going back to a simple CPL or a cost per interested lead, which is typically how the industry works on? How do you see it moving from that into more of a CLV or a LTV kind of a model? Would you once things get back to normal and you increase paid advertising, would you still continue to look at CLV as a primary metric, or would you then go back to something like a CPL, CPIL, interested leads, right? Those weird metrics we have into that, and then kind of like your attribution models to calculate at the back end. So just wanted your views on that.
Right. So there are two parts, by which I can respond to your questions. The first part is that, see, we don't look at CLV so much, to be honest with you. We are focused more on CTR, cost to revenue ratio. Like we have an idea for all our lead channels, what is the first year revenue? And that first year revenue, we try to kind of divide it by a digital COA and try to get a sense of what is the cost to revenue ratio. So when we decide for a particular month, we look at a particular lead channel from an angle that how the CTR performance is. So that's where the revenue linkages happen. Okay, so that's point number one. In terms of how we will do it in future, we are now integrating AppsFlyer and CleverTap. So CleverTap we use lot more for our app usage analytics and journey within the app, in-app advertising and all of that. So now that we are integrating with the AppsFlyer, a lot of revenue data will start flowing into AppsFlyer any which ways.
Right.
So in the AppsFlyer attribution model, now a lot of custom match, audience, cohort analysis, all of that will happen within AppsFlyer. So that's one focus area for us in next 1 or 2 months. The second is that we realize the importance of a lot of personalization, customer journey orchestration using all lead channels. For which what was missing was GA360, the premium analytics for us. So that's the next implementation of GA360, and with a Google Audience Manager and Google Optimize, we will get into more of a web level personalization and more into kind of customer journey orchestration. So that's in kind of in the pipeline for us.
Great, it makes sense. So picking up on that, what you mentioned, Prabhakar, about this personalization, Vishwajeet, I had a question for you. Is that you spoke about similar things of connecting consumer to seamless experiences and brand engagements. So one of the things we often hear, like, Prabhakar just mentioned a lot of technology, right? A lot of jargons and stuff, and a lot of integration of systems. How do you see, a lot of times I see that technology is kind of like the curve of technology is actually at a much higher rate than what we can adapt it, right? So our adoption rate, our maximizing utility from technology is generally lags behind the technology progress that happens. So how do you see at Aditya Birla you being able to leverage this tech in to create these kind of personalizations? Because it takes effort, right? Personalizations means rather than making one creative, you're making hundreds of creatives, you're tweaking them out. So it's a lot more work. So how do you see yourself being able to do that with your partners? How does it affect your costs of communication? Does it, what kind of yields do you see? So if you could just shed some light on that, that'll be fantastic for the audience. Also, before you start, just one thing to the audience. If you want to please send questions across, you can. We have some time slotted for Q&A. So we have about, I think maybe we'll have 10 to 15 minutes at the end. So if you have questions, then please you can raise them out. And if you have time, we'll pick a few of them and answer that as well. So sorry, back to you, Vishwa. All yours.
So Gautam, unlike stock trading company, Bajaj Capital is more of a financial distribution of multi-products. So it's not about just stocks, it's about mutual funds, life insurance, bonds, etc. And the DNA of the organization is, to have a relationship-based relationship with the clients, not a transactional-based relationship. So we have even third generation of investors dealing with us. So their grandfathers, their fathers, and now their children are also dealing with us. So we believe in that relationship-based mode of dealing with clients. And how it works is, so normally we acquire our clients. India is let me put it crudely, India is a financially illiterate country. You have to do a lot of education to help them understand why they should plan. People have a lot of time to plan their itineraries for foreign trips, but they don't have time for their financial planning. So that's the true reality of our country. And so we spend a lot of time in educating people. So if you are educating people and take the first step, let's say if he's buying the first SIP, mutual fund sahi hai campaign dekhne ke baad. So if he's buying a first SIP or buying a first term plan, that is where we build upon our relationship, and that is where we come, try to give him a complete, a holistic approach about his lifetime, financial lifetime, and the communication accordingly goes like this. You have planned for your children. What about your retirement? What about your, other goals? So we try to create a need, hidden need, which is always there in the clients. We try to inculcate that need through our communication. So we are never in a hurry to close the relationship after first transaction, because whatever you earn in the first transaction would be just 200 rupees. So that is anyways the model will not survive. So SIP doesn't give you that much of money. So you have to build that relationship, and that is how the entire Martech personalization, whether it is a tech plus touch or now which is now purely into a digital. So whatever that could move on online has moved on online, and it is not about product, it is about an individual. So the way we see our clients is as an individual, and on his various journeys in life, we try to connect with him, whether it's birthday, his marriage anniversary. So these there are various points where the client is receptive about your communication. So there are moment of truths which we have already analyzed, and we work upon the same. And again, on the technology front, so again, we try to not just educate, but it's a regular process. So it's not about a transaction. So we try to send him a communication about his goals, his needs, and educating about what is happening to his portfolio. So sometimes a lot of advisors, what they do is they transact and they close. But every 6 months we go and try to do a portfolio review with them. So when you do a portfolio review and they feel that this is a company which is not here to just to sell, it is here to have something more than what we believe in, and that is where the personalization starts. And believe you me, Indian customers, if they trust someone, they really go for a lifetime. But because a lot of financial companies have created a lot of mistrust, whether it is a plantation companies or a lot of companies, fly by night operators. So if you develop that trust, that is what works best for us, and that is how we always believe in customers' lifetime value, and not about cost of customer acquisition.
Yeah, great, Vish. I think that's I think the last line summarizes it beautifully, is that It's not about CAC, but it's about LTV. I think that's what you should keep your focus on. So, Ashwin, just wanted to drop a question onto you. An extension to this is that, you spoke something which would be music to many agencies' ears, of, that in good times CMOs must spend, but in bad times they should spend more.
Yeah.
So how are you seeing this conversation with brands? I'm sure there's a good mix of different companies at different stages struggling with various kinds of issues, right? Some are, I mean, some have direct cash flow issues, some are talking about infra, some have labor,
Yep.
and there's so many dynamics to this, right? And in that, when you go to a firm and you say that this is the time when you should actually invest, like how we mentioned about good costs and bad costs, and good costs are Martech and stuff like that, right? So
Yeah.
how do you suggest that this conversation be taken up, and what are the reactions you are seeing in the conversations you're having right now?
Yeah, no, that's a good one, Gautam. I think, see, what's happening is obviously like in any other trend, you can't. The devil is in the double click of the detail, right? Because you can't generalize and say all finance companies would work like how Vishwajeet is doing.
Yeah.
Rightly said, the constraints and the opportunities are across the range. So what is happening? I think what's happening is when you talk any sector, let's say essentials, there are few, I'll step back and then I'll answer your question. I see there are few things that I think we have echoed really nicely on this call and video we see so far. You see, there are trends that the CMO for the first.
Sorry, Ashwin, we are again losing you out a bit in the middle.
Okay, is this better?
Yeah, much better.
Yeah. All right. So I'm saying the trends that we are saying, just taking a step back, is 2 or 3. What all of us talked about is this. Now it seems to be the overriding need for empathy and concern. What we are trying to tell clients is this human experience chain should be your proposition all throughout, not just on this transaction. So that, because when we do surveys, when we talk primary research, consumers of all varieties would like to be working with trusted brands that who they can trust with and who feel that they are empathizing with that consumer during that consumer's life stages. Okay, so it's important that brands do that. Okay, and see, the marketing functions do that. Okay, now based on what I said, there is a whole gamut: consumers, B2B products, software, requirements in terms of how consumers are really reacting to this time. And I'm hearing my voice is not clear. Is this? Yeah.
Yeah, it comes and goes a bit.
It comes and goes.
Yeah.
All right, let me lean into the video. Yeah. So I think what is happening is, in all of the two trends that we are seeing, is there are a group of companies that are saying this is the time to what I call sharpen your swords and get ready for day one. What they are calling day one is once we learn to live with this COVID. Okay.
Right.
Once we learn to live with this, how should brands react? And there is spend happening. Okay. And there is also a set of entrepreneurial brands and other organizations that are saying, look, let me conserve cash, to the point, Gautam, let me conserve cash. Let me wait and watch. My company and organization was leader in that space. We are a fast follower or a follower at best. We will adapt. Okay, we will see how the spends are. The other trend we are seeing is people are expecting that during this dip in our performance metrics that one brand or one company is about, that their ecosystem shares and empathizes with that load. For as an example, I'll give you an example. So let's say somewhere the supply chain is bottlenecked. Okay, you can't get products. The assortment mix is not working.
Ashwin, again, we lost you a bit out there, but yeah, I think we got most of it. Is the last
most
bit.
Of it. Okay, so the assortment mix is not working out. So what brands and companies are expecting is all the suppliers, the third-party logistics, the communication parties, and the agencies and organizations work with them to solve that. Okay, to solve this full ecosystem so that they come back to action as soon as possible. So two broad trends, and it obviously, unfortunately, is the typical consulting answer of it depends, because what's happening is each it for its own reality and saying, look, for me, managing capital is paramount. So I will now. Some guys are saying, especially tech companies are saying this is cash rich. They're saying this is the time to double down and really distance ourselves. You can see literally, Gautam, all aspects. And I think my prediction, my personal prediction is the wheat and the chaff will get far months, because and it will depend on how companies react, and hopefully they all take actions based on the reality, but also looking at what's possible. So that would be my answer to how you kind of pose that.
Thanks, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, Kerry, over to you. I had one question from your unique position where you are kind of a marketing cloud. So you are a tech player plus services built on top of that for clients, not typically an agency, not a publisher. So from your perspective, are you seeing that organizations are willing to make investments, like big investments in Martech at the moment, or do they want to kind of maximize on what they already have currently and don't want to kind of make major shifts at the moment? Because it's a both ways is a great way, right? I mean, one is that this is the best time, our systems are not as running in full speed, customers are not at the POS right now, maybe I make the investment now. The other hand is that why make a big cost right now and kind of like let's try and just take a step back and see how we can connect things better. So what is it from your perspective? How are you seeing these things move?
I think I'll take a page out of Ashwin's book and say that it really depends on the organization and how their approach is, right? I mean, so where we have seen businesses already have invested, they are doubling down because, so for example, we actually have a retailer in the UK at a company called Sea Salt, and they have actually been investing in how to actually optimize like customer struggles, identifying like where are the areas that they actually fix first using analytics and all. But then they actually are looking, and they have actually invested and are implementing where they can actually identify the most profitable journey, right? Because at the end of the day, all these different things actually have impact on the bottom line. So, they're actually looking at, okay, does it mean that, mobile web, mobile, what is the most profitable journey? And they're trying to make sure that they are actually identifying those and making the most impact on that. So I think it really depends. I mean, I think as a marketeer and even as a business, right, with all the different changes that's happening, the whole rip and replace, I don't think people have the appetite with all the changes that's going on as well. So, so we have also seen that, you want to be able to, start small and to be able to actually connect with a lot of the systems. I mean, just now PT was talking about all the different types of technologies that he's already implementing, and he has implemented and is looking to implement. We are also seeing that, right? I mean, as a marketeer, we've got so many different technologies. We need to make sure that it all kind of works together as well. Yeah. And not just work together, but you also want to be able to future-proof because you don't know what's coming as well. So I think that's also one of the things that we see, right? So you want to make sure that it's open enough to be able to work with the different technologies that you actually have. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. Gautam, if I may just add, can I add a point there?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, just a thing to react.
Ashwin, if you can switch off your camera, I think you will be much more audible.
Yeah, maybe it's a bandwidth issue. I think Vishwajeet is right. Possibly if you could just try that.
Get the video off. Is this better?
Yeah, I think
it is. Yeah. Better, Vishwajeet?
It's a little better.
Okay. So let's do it this way. Yeah, what I was saying is there are two trends that might come to what Kerry just said. See, we should expect the Martech space.
So actually, sorry, Ashwin, it's I think a video was not the issue because the audio is still going and coming.
Okay. So
at least we get your visual expressions now, so that's good.
Yeah. So I can hear you all quite well, but I guess Wi-Fi seems all right here. But going back to what just the point I wanted to make was that see, there will be consolidation. Okay, there will be consolidation in the Martech landscape. There are about 8,000 the space, and it just can't be like that. Okay. So you will have this normal chain of, let's say, different startups, their funds drying up, players consolidating, and you will see some people, just like the last financial crisis, where some people kind of came out of that crisis stronger as far as vendors. You will see perhaps that thing happening.
Yeah, fair point.
Just to add, Gautam, I think this is an unknown the fear that is today is very unknown. Nobody has seen this kind of a risk. So brands are thinking, every complexity brings an opportunity. So like the way PT was saying, they're seeing the surge in the business. Even we are also seeing a lot of surge in the queries. So we have just started chatbots to answer the queries, which we never used to do before. And a lot of people are talking about inquiring about insurance, mediclaims. So this is suddenly a new change. So you have to just shift your business from one product to another, and maybe that works very well. And I think in times to come, sustainability of the brands who are really concerned, who are really giving a human experience to the clients, will come up. And I think in next 6-7 months, you will see a lot of brands would have grown multifold, whereas a lot of companies who have not consolidated, who have not given that experience to their customers, may not survive. So that could be the reality.
No, I
Yeah.
think true. I mean, I think a lot of the things that, we keep hearing, right? It's about going back and being true to what your company stands for and what your brand values are, and really, making sure that, you are treating the customer right, because I think that's kind of like where it kind of shows, right? And I mean, I think even like, as a marketeer, it really goes back to basics, right? In terms of what's the core of marketing and how do you actually improve the customer experience, because customers actually have even less patience, and online somehow they have even less tolerance when things go wrong, right? So
Yeah.
I think that's
I'm one of them.
Yeah, we see.
So I think there's a great question from the audience that came in, which I think I would have loved to ask the panel myself. It's by Anjana Grewal. So anyone of you who wants to pick it up, she asks, during this period, how are companies guiding relationship marketing within the marketing and sales teams, right? So, I think the question was directed is that, we've seen this agile pace, this frantic pace at which we've not really worked, this reorientation with an organization, which is a great thing. But at the same time, how do we actually orchestrate our own internal marketing and sales teams, our comms teams to actually work in sync, right? Because like we said, for the consumer, there's no sales team, there's no marketing team, there's nothing, just one brand that they're interacting with, right? That old way, I think, of customer service, of you call a toll-free number and then we'll get back, I think that's kind of going to be dead. At the same time, the opportunity that exists in prospecting your customer today is going to be far, far more, informed. So what advice do you have for, how are you dealing with it? I mean, I'm sure we don't all have the answers to it, but what are the struggles you are facing and how are you dealing with it? Would be a great way to, would be great understanding for all of us, including me. I would love to know this.
I would just like to answer a few things. I don't know whether that answers or not, but as PT was mentioning, first few days, everybody was settling down. There was Zoom calls, there were meetings, and what we realize is 25% people in office can be work can go on. Work from home culture is suddenly a new normal. So cost has come down because of that, and productivity has increased double. So that is what most of the brands are feeling. Work from home is becoming really, really, sustainable thing, and it's not going to go very easily, which I see. What as a marketing, what we are realizing is there are a lot of pain areas at the ground with salespeople, and if you can answer that, because they are looking for a right communication at this point of time to the clients, and if you can help them with right messaging, if you can help them with right WhatsApp messages, they would really love it. And you understand, even the sales is also going through a big transformation. They also need to maintain their revenue targets. So if you can help that, how can you help salespeople retain their revenues, retain their margins? That is going to be the big collaboration point. And I think marketing role has increased drastically post-COVID. And for the first time, even sales is respecting, honoring, and say whatnot to the marketing, because they're most of the time dependent on marketing now, ever before.
Right.
Yeah.
So just want to add to what Vishwajeet shared. We are lucky because, last year we kind of decided to move on from a feet on street model to a telecaller based model. So today, if I look at it, like, all of us are digital. So there's a telecaller part to it, but the fact is that all of us are digitally inclined. So be it marketing team, sales team, and even service team. and all of us are focused on DIY. So we are focused on DIY journey. With the sales team, we promote it, and there's a DIY journey on onboarding from the service time, and they're also promoting it, right? But what I want to say is that you're right. Today, it's a boundaryless behavior for the customer. It doesn't matter whether it is a marketing team which has got them in with a false promise, or sales team which has kind of got them in with a kind of a swearing on.
I like the qualification there.
So I just want to kind of at the end of the day, like, they are paying for it, and they need to get what their money is worth, and then plus anything else is additional is good. So fundamentally, there's one more advantage we have now. Today, our mobile app, what we call ABMA lead source, which we do UAC campaign, Facebook campaign, TikTok campaign, and other campaigns, is almost 50-55% of our total monthly lead volume, and around 60% of our total account opening conversion in a month.
Wow. Right.
So, and if you look at app, it has the combination of marketing, even sales to that degree, because there's a DIY journey which we have now natively built inside the app. So entire DIY journey, customer doesn't need to move from an app environment to web environment. It can be done in app environment as well. And to the service onboarding team, which can get the first trade done by the customer using notification, in-app notification, and other notification, etc., and also offering them some incentive like 100 rupees stock free or brokerage free and all of that, right? So, so the point I want to make is in the context of my organization, we work very closely together because we have a common territory like app, where a lot of our actions bear fruits. And second, as Vishwajeet rightly said, we are kind of giving them newer script at the telecaller level on how to kind of deal with customers where we still have to talk to them over phone, and also to our service team in terms of newer content for emails, newer videos, and newer other content marketing output. So we are all working together on this. And as I think Vishwajeet has said, this is not the year of thriving. This is the year of surviving. I think if you survive this year, I mean, that is a win. So that's how it is.
Yeah, great.
So just one line, that is, if you link everybody's salary to the organizational goal, everybody will be connected to each other.
Yeah, I think that's the entrepreneurial side, right? I think that always does help. If you have a common goal, common incentive, then that always helps. So I think I have time for one more question. I think I had this one was also interesting that I think we can pick up. So of course, there have been certain products, I think, like Prabhakar brokerage, I think, has moved from being person to person to telecalling to digital, and that it's got to that transition. But there are a lot of businesses that are not maybe so digitally attuned right up front as of now. So how do you actually, when you having the meeting in person is not possible, and there's this deficiency that tech has to kind of like fill up, right? How do you get that personal touch still into it? So like for example, I've not gone to the website, but I was just seeing today on Product Hunt that there is someone who's doing virtual wedding planning, right? So it's not just virtually wedding planning, but the wedding is virtual. So it's a virtual wedding planning. So okay. I mean, but how do you think that how do you think that organizations can do this at scale? So we've spoken a lot about messaging in there, but any specific examples that you can think of that could be, how you can generate a one-to-one relationship with a customer who typically is not used to interacting with you on a digital touch point?
I can give one example, so I was in one such kind of, panel discussion, and one of my colleague from insurance business, so he shared that earlier they had the sales team incentive was based on how much customer they have signed up for that particular month. And now that the organization has moved on to make customer acquisition digitally, the trouble was that how will salespeople earn their incentive, etc., etc. So what they have done, they have initiated something which was very interesting name. I'm not recalling the name, but it was like dial to call. It means the first touch with the customer happens with the insurance agent and the distributor over a phone call virtually.
Okay. Okay, very interesting. Yeah.
And that's how they start. So then whatever step the customer goes through the journey, that happens. But the first call between the, it's like a phygital.
Yeah.
So there is a
Yeah,
physicality to it, and and that way the incentive is also safeguarded for the salesperson, and the customer also gets to kind of associate the company with a single person who the customer can go back to in case that things do not turn out to be all right.
Now that you're mentioning this, is also I'm remembering IndusInd also done something. I remember on the video call to your branch manager, right? You could kind of have a video call with your personal banker, branch manager setup. I think that time may not have been taken up that much, but I think today it would have been a lovely welcome to have to any bank account, right? That you can speak to someone one-on-one and ask them a few things about maybe the new tax regime or something like that, which you don't get to ask otherwise. Yeah, I think that's a very good example. So I think we have only about 2 or 3 minutes. So I just wanted to kind of summarize a bit for the audience, and then of course, if you type of minutes, we can add on to it. Any of you can do that. So I think what I picked up most was, I think Kerry, I think you were the first to go, and one thing that struck with me was the new users coming in, right? And that's such an important thing, that you have newer users coming into on the internet, onto your website, onto your app, and you just can't take it for granted that they would behave the same way as the previous cohort did. And I think that kind of makes the case for Martech even more, right? That how do you actually track all of these new consumers? Prabhakar mentioned that the first time guys coming in, they're transacting right away. Whereas normally they would have taken some time. So the behavior of these new users is very different. While some places it's becoming more frictionless, some places the friction is increasing. So how do we maximize on one time, and how do we kind of reduce the loss on the other side? So I think that's a great takeout for me. And then, Vishwa, I think you spoke, I think what struck with me was when you said, good costs and bad costs. I think that was, a very important thing, because when you're looking to say sustain, you have to of course cut costs, but what costs are you cutting down? I think that is a very important part to it. So you got to keep investing in the good costs and the bad costs. And of course, Ashwin, you definitely gave me a reason to have a drink today in the evening when you said that in good times CMO should spend, but in bad times you should spend more. So
anything for revenue enhancement. Yeah, anything to enhance that.
So I think for me that is the largest takeout. But yeah, I think that there is a lot of truth to that. Is that I've seen advertisers struggle, about with SOV, right? And now you just have a virgin territory, right? So you can get 100% SOV if you like. So if your MM models prove that SOV is what gives you sales, you should advertise now, right?
Gautam, there is a new thing that is emerging, is online parties.
Online
we
do it, of course.
Yeah, we do it as well. Yeah.
I have 2 online parties every week with 2 sets of friends.
Only one person can have 100% SOV, Gautam. That is Mr. Goswami.
Good one.
Very truly, rightly said. And I think, Prabhakar, what you mentioned that was also very interesting was, how the other side is of this COVID, right? How certain sectors like yours of offerings and products like yours have taken a huge uptake,
right.
And the whole disruption point, right? I mean that we always think of disruption, but now that's happened to us. Where are all the chief innovative officers that we had, and what are they doing about this disruption?
Correct.
And, so I think that's the key learning. I think for most organizations, that is not one person, but I think as an organization, I think more and more everyone's learning is that we have to work together. It's not about one department or one person, but literally the whole organization working together is what is going to make us sail through this and make us far more for us to thrive in the third leg, if I may take Ashwin's word for that. And very happy to see that you actually went on to television, Prabhakar. I mean, that's a great thing. But yeah, so
at a good rate, by the way.
I'm sure. I'm pretty sure about
negotiate.
That. I'm pretty sure about that.
Sure.
It's a buyer's market right now. So you're willing to spend, I think you can get what you want.
But the most costliest real estate today is the smartphone, Prabhakar.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't worry. So we are working on the upper funnel, yeah. I mean, we're already very strong at lower funnel.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think we are good. I think we're good on time. We are just, it's almost 5. And anyone wants to add any last comment? We've got a minute if you want to add it on.
Yeah, just one takeaway for everyone to just kind of think about. I think you all mentioned it. I think the PTU is, I loved that acronym PT, so better than Prabhakar. But I think a lot of the old models, right, be cautious, because a lot of planning for marketers is with historical data. My request would be all to strongly reconsider that, because all such assumptions are not out of the window. the data models and things like that. Just reconsider and as you said, you got a great deal on TV. All these spend patterns, all the way that we do loyalty, trust, look at it fresh rather than just using the old paradigms, because really that has changed. So something to think about in addition to what we all very nicely summarized by Gautam, but just wanted to add.
No, thanks for that, Ashwin. That's a great point. I think we should be wary of not thinking that the past will lead us to the future. Every mutual fund campaign has that written there, but still, it's a good reminder there. Okay, great guys. I think we're good. Have a great evening, and hope you can survive this lockdown with more laughs and fun. Thanks for being a lovely audience. Great questions, guys. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Gautam.
Yeah.
Vishwajeet, Kerry, and Ashwin. Hi.
Thanks, Ashwin.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Bye. So sorry, Vishwa, I missed that last thing. What did you say?
Who was the one? I said.
I missed that last joke anyway. Cool, sir. Chalo, take care. See ya.